Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on October 18th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. If you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. All right, so we'll start off as usual by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of the data that came out, the CPI numbers, we talked about this yesterday. CPI numbers are very important. They came out lower than expected for British pound here, and we saw a drop in pound today. And then we had a bunch of orange news here. But the most important thing later in the day was FOMC meeting minutes, which kind of came in line with expectations. So Fed is still looking to raise rates. And as a result of that, we saw the dollar crosses drop after the FOMC meeting minutes came out. Coming up now, tonight, we have two different items to pay attention to. First one is the Australian dollar employment numbers. And then we have Bank of Japan, Governor Kuroda speaking as well. So anytime there's a central banker speaking, it can have an impact on the market, especially when the central bankers will try to cause what we call verbal intervention. That means they're not really intervening in the market, they're just saying stuff. And President Trump tends to do this. Generally is the central bankers do that, but we see President Trump do this all the time where he'll make a negative comment about the dollar and then the dollar drops, right? So central bankers like to do this with their currencies as well, because when the currency is cheaper, it's better for the exports. So keep an eye on that from Bank of Japan here as well. And then into Thursday here, we have retail sales numbers for British pound here, and we have the EU summit continuing on. Again, what we have to watch out for here will be the comments, because we have different officials coming together for this summit. So there tend to be journalists asking them questions, and it's the comments that come out of their mouths that's what can cause the market to react. So make sure keep an eye on your news feed if you're trading the euro or the pound. And later in the evening, so in the New York session, not a whole lot. We do have Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. We have FOMC members speaking here. But then we have Chinese GDP numbers. So even though we may not trade Chinese yuan, but this is important because it will have an impact on Australia and New Zealand. So important number to keep an eye on. So that's it in terms of news. So let's move on to our charts here. We'll start off with Euro US dollar. So yesterday we had a really nice, this bearish pin, and we had talked about how price had failed to go past this 1620 level on 4 occasions. So 4 days in a row, price was not able to break the high, which generally means that it is likely to drop. And we had a nice pin there as a result of that rejection. And after that, we were looking for price to drop. So we saw that drop. And now we have a nice bearish candle here. As a result of this, we're looking for price to drop further. So looking for a pullback here and then a drop. The first target here will be the bottom of these candles. And then we're looking for this pin, which is at 1.1430 level. So bias is to the downside. And first target, I'm just going to drag this line back here. So 1460 and then 1.1430 will be the two targets to the downside. And then we have British pound here. British pound, nice bearish candle close here. So looking for price to move down further. So in this case, the targets, the bias is bearish, and the target, the first target is fairly close here, 1.3070, but then we're looking for 1.3020, the bottom of these pins. So this is an important support and resistance area. As we can see, price has reacted at this level multiple times. So that will be the target to the downside. We have a nice bearish candle close, bearish volume as well. So bias is to the downside. 1.3020 will be the target for pound. So that's pound Aussie dollar here. This one, we have a nice bearish engulfing candle close here. So this one, yesterday we had talked about how it was into resistance. It wasn't really going further, or it wasn't, even though it looked like it was going further, it wasn't really going anywhere. So as a result of that, we saw just a push into this pin over there, which is the support and resistance area here into 1.7060, and then we have a nice bearish engulfing candle close. So this is looking bearish here, and I will look for price to drop. One thing to keep in mind for this one, though, is that we have employment numbers coming out tonight. So that's something to watch out for, because if the employment numbers come out positive, this could get pushed up higher. But as long as price remains below this 0.7160 number, I'm looking for price to drops. And we'll take a look at the dollar index in a little bit. But as long as the dollar index, it goes up, all the dollar crosses, I would expect them to drop. So this is looking bearish, so looking for price to drop. 0.7080 will be the first target. 0.7042, so let's say 50 will be the second target to the downside. So bearish buys for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one is a nice reversal signal here as well. This is kind of our like railroad reversal, or a bearish candle close here as well. So this one, looking for price to drop further here. Target would be 0.6500 will be the first target, and then 0.6440 will be the second target to the downside. So bias is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, the oil inventories numbers were not that great. So as a result of that, we saw this big push up in dollar CAD, as well as the US dollar was strong today. So the combination of the two caused this move to the upside. So this is looking bullish. So with this one, I would look for a bit of a pullback here before we see a further move to the upside. So a drop potentially into 1.2996 level, and then a move to the upside. So let's take a quick peek at, so there's our pivot point right there as well. Basically looking for a pullback and then a further move to the upside. See this nice, we had move up, pull back into the pivot point, and then price continued. So I'm looking for drop into this pivot point and then a further move to the upside. 1.3070 will be the target to the upside. So bullish for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, this one is looking a bearish right now. We do see price moving up higher. So let's take a quick peek here. Based on the candle close here, that's a nice bearish pin bar. So I will look for price to drop. Now, we do have the support resistance level right into here. Multiple times price has reacted at this level. So that will be the first target, 87.50, and then 87.20 will be the second target to the downside.